The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Step outside of your comfort zone. See the world with a whole new perspective. Join us and experience the unexplained on the Paranormal View.
And welcome everybody right here to the Paranormal View on the Para-X Radio Network. I want to thank everyone for being with us tonight. Those here in the chat room and those listening from around the world. We appreciate each and every one of you. Tonight we got a great show lined up for you, and lots of good things going to be going on tonight that you'll get to hear about later. And I guess since we do have a lot, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like get started. So with us tonight, we got Barbara Duncan.
Good evening, everyone.
And we got Jeffrey Gould.
Hello, hello.
And we got Tabby Cat Gash with us.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay. And with that, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. And I want to remind you, if you do have questions, you can private chat them to either Ceiling Cat, Tabby Cat, or myself, and we will get those answered for you. So since we got a lot to talk about tonight and a great guest, I'm going to let Jeff go ahead and introduce our guest.
Well, first off, Henry, for people who aren't aware, you haven't officially said that Cat Gash is now an official co-host.
No, we haven't yet, Jeff.
Might want to do that because it's sort of like, wasn't she just on last week? But as it is, our guest tonight is multiple book author, medium, and paranormal investigator Vanessa Hogle. Oh, Vanessa Hogle! A world... Goodness gracious. And I asked to make sure I wasn't going to mispronounce that. World traveler. Vanessa is a remote viewer. Consulted for an episode of The Haunted on Animal Planet, and a credentialed bio so long it would take up the majority of the show through which to go. So welcome, Vanessa.
Aloha. I knew it was going to happen anyway. That's why I chuckled.
My grandfather used to do that, apparently.
You're among friends, Vanessa. Well, I mean, nobody. First off, let me take the pressure off you. Nobody can butcher a name like I can. Nobody.
So you haven't heard me. You have not heard me talk yet.
And I do apologize for the bio. If you got it, especially if you got off the website, it is long. It is
quite a tome. I copy and pasted it, and then I was busy, and I had I'm part of a clinical study for the vaccine, and I had it yesterday, and I'm in great discomfort today. And then I opened up the page, and I looked at the bio. I'm like, I did not edit this yet. Oh.
Well, I mean, I can give you the Reader's Digest condensed version. Okay. Okay. So hi, y'all. My name is Vanessa Hogle, and I am almost 50. I just turned 49 this year, and I have had 6 best-selling books. I've also done a coloring book. I've read for teams all over the world, remote viewed for teams all over the world, been a part of over 500 investigations, either as a consultant, a remote viewer, or an investigator that is on location or otherwise. Own Perfect Trust Productions, which is a production company out of Virginia, Prince George, Virginia, with my best friend and business partner, Gwen Clapper. And we are in the process or pre-production for our second docuseries that is going to be set in Scotland next year. Or this year, but it'll be released next year. Oh, woohoo. There you go.
So I take it from your accent you're from Canada?
Alabama. I know. It's just, it is what it is. It used to be so much worse. It used to be so much worse. But, yeah, this is me.
We are.
True story. So, house tricks. What are we going to talk about?
Well,
Well,
me,
whether or not
Vanessa.
you have the budget to fly me out to Scotland for your docu-series, I think.
Oh yeah, you got to be able to fit us all in your carry-on. There's no doubt
Oh,
about it.
yeah.
You got to fit us all in your carry-on.
I tell you, it is. I mean, if I was able to get everybody to go with me that wanted to, I absolutely would, because it truly is just so much fun. Even when you're working, like when Gwen and I were in Ireland, filming Hidden Gems Ireland. Which is the stories from the book that are also in there. Those are my written stories of the accounts that happened in Ireland. Even though we busted our butts and darn near killed ourselves, it was still a blast. You know, I mean, it was work 24/7, but we had a blast doing it.
Didn't you actually bust your butt while you were over there, literally?
Oh,
at some point?
And not my butt, but my pride took a huge hit.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
In true Vanessa fashion, because I can't travel without falling. Okay? I mean, when I went to England the first time, stepped off the plane, fell. True story. Go to Ireland and twisted my ankle the first time. Second time, I'm getting off the bus in Balladreen, which is a little town towards the west coast of Ireland, out towards Galway. And I'm getting off the bus. I hugged my friend who was meeting us there, turned and took 2 steps and fell flat on my face in the middle of the town center, in front of God and everybody. And I was like, well, hey, I got it out of the way. I got it out of the way. I was bleeding. It was bad. You know, all, the skin's off my knees, everything. But you know what? I got it out of the way. So,
hey, you got to keep a record there. I mean, you can't not go someplace without hurting yourself. So,
all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit before we went on air, and your book is intriguing, and I just love reading the stories out of there. And you were discussing the difference between Scottish and Irish ghosts. And being a Scottie myself, I have to appreciate what you were talking about.
Well, and it's not just Ireland and Scotland. I mean, I actually did a YouTube video one time called Paranormal Chinese Food, is I think what I called it. And that's kind of how hauntings are, or spirit communication or activity, is it really does seem to be geographical. You know, based on how they interact and what they do or their mannerisms or behaviors. And in Scotland, what I found primarily, because the majority of the time that I was there was in Edinburgh, and I had the burps. I'm so sorry, but when I was in Edinburgh, they tend to be more serious. They really do. They tend to be more serious. Now, granted, I didn't spend any time in any pubs while I was there, so maybe it would have been a different story. But they really do seem to be very serious in nature. They're very blunt, and they have no problem kind of telling it like it is. Whereas in Ireland, they're a bit more jovial. I mean, their dialect is a bit more lyrical, and it's just a different feel to it. Doesn't mean that both places haven't suffered serious trauma, because as we all know, they both have. I was a little more into the thick of it when I was in Ireland the last time, because that was our sole purpose for being there. It wasn't vacay. But in that, as I'm sure you read in the book, there were some very serious moments. There's some situations there where the brutality that was present was just, sometimes it was just too much. Right. Too much to handle. I actually suffered quite a few. Suffered's not the right word. We're going to put it that way, because I'm not a martyr. I had quite a few attachments that were difficult to deal with. The worst being my last day in Ireland, and it happened in Dublin. And that was not fun. for anybody involved. But yeah, there is a very real difference, just like there is a difference in how they act in England. And you wouldn't think it would be a huge difference because there's not a big distance between England and Scotland. But there is a very big difference in how they behave when you're communicating.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's strange, but I guess it's like going from neighborhood to neighborhood. You never know.
Sure. That's true.
You know, have
mannerisms. I mean, if you take Shakespeare's accounts of ghosts into effect, then yeah, they do tend to be a little bit different in why they're there and why. Do you think that the attachments were simply attaching themselves to get away from situations?
No, there was one instance where, and I don't know if you read this part in the book or not, but that we actually have it on video and everything. There was one instance where we were going to the little residence that it was sitting next to the motel that we were staying at in Balladrine. And keep in mind, for folks that don't know, for any listeners out there, Gwen and I, we went there with nothing, with practically no money. We actually packed a suitcase full of food, and we were living off of PB&J's, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, the whole time we were there pretty much. And so we were eating those sandwiches multiple times a day just to keep going because it was all about getting there and filming. Well, we get to this little residence, and children that had been severely malnourished were coming to me. Whether they were part of the famine, whether it was another situation, remains to be seen. I believe it was part of the famine. But again, there's no way to know for 100%. But they were coming to me and they kept telling me, and we got it on film that, the bread's moldy, they're hungry, the bread's moldy, they can't eat it. And I'm, hitting my head against the wall. And they pull me out of that residence and we go back to the motel room, and Gwen takes a look at my face and sees what's going on, and one of my eyes is pulling in towards my nose. And so we videotape that and everything, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And so she does what she can to try to get that attachment off of me. And by that time I'm starving. We reach down to pull out the loaf of bread that we had been eating on that day. And the whole dang thing's covered in mold.
Ew.
We had just pulled, and trust me, it was not before. But the whole thing was covered in mold. And we had just had sandwiches from it not 4 hours before.
I've heard of batteries getting drained of energy, but I've never heard of food spoiling.
Oh, yeah.
That's usually more associated with brownies or Sprites or things like that take the energy. But I've never heard of spirits taking energy out of food.
Well,
that's
keep in mind we were in Ireland,
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me. And even though, to the listeners, that's going to sound like it was really negative, but it wasn't, that was, I think, the way that I'm perceive it, is that was the only way that they could indicate to us that, yes, they're there. Yes, they're still around. And, they truly died of hunger. And that is, I walked through some of the famine graveyards, and to see them and to actually be standing right there in this graveyard that is hundreds and hundreds of years old, that no one would know was there. The person that took us to this said the majority of the people that live around there don't even know it's there. And to know that basically every single person that was there died of hunger.
Oh, God, that's sad.
It
the
is.
famine. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it is. And the big surprise for us was finding out everything we'd ever been told about the famine was a complete lie.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, yeah. It was a complete lie. It wasn't that. Oh, okay. I can tell you what I was told growing up, and this is in school. We were told that there was solely a blight on the potato, and that was mostly what Irish lived off of. And because of that blight, they couldn't eat. That's why they called it the Irish potato famine. That is so inaccurate, it's not even funny. What was actually happening was the British were coming over. They were stealing land. They were confiscating land that had been owned by families for generations and giving them a teeny tiny small portion of it and charging them for the land they already owned at exorbitant amounts, hoping they couldn't even come up with that while they were keeping the rest of it. And generally the area of the property that they would give them would be the least hospitable to planting. And so the only thing they could plant, the only thing that would actually grow in it would be potatoes. Then the blight came. So had all of their land not been taken, they would have been fine because they had way more hospitable land, soil that would have grown other things. They would have been fine. But their cattle was taken, their land was taken, their homes were taken. I mean, it was ridiculous. That's what actually happened. And so to know what these people went through and the lengths they would go to try to escape it, it's humbling is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, on my worst day, I haven't had it as bad as they did on their best.
Oof.
That is amazing. And this is why it's great to be able to travel and actually get absorbed into the land and the stories and the culture of different areas, because a lot of what we learn is very superficial to the actual truth.
It is, and some of it's flat out fabrication. Because let's face it, in our history books here in the U.S., they're going to try to paint themselves in a manner that makes them seem more appealing. And that rarely involves the truth. So, I mean, I've encouraged my son, who is actually planning on going into the service so he can travel on someone else's dime, which is great. But I encourage everybody, step out of your comfort zone, go to a place you've never been, talk to the locals. I've been all over Glasgow, Edinburgh, London, Dublin, all of the main hubs. But I tell you what, go into that little town of Balladrine that had maybe 1,600 residents, maybe. And sitting down in an old pub and talking with the matriarch of the town, and her bringing us family pictures and books and talking to us about her family's history in the town, her relatives in the United States, all of that. You can't get those stories back once somebody's gone. No. And you really do find how even thousands of miles apart, we're all interconnected. We really are. And it's a beautiful thing. And I think everybody needs to do it. Get out of your comfort zone, hop out of the box, and take that chance of seeing how other people live and get through their day and go through life. And you'll learn not only about them, but you'll learn a lot about yourself.
Now, getting out of the comfort zone, did that also happen to you as a medium going to these various areas?
Woo! Yes. Okay. I don't, when I'm out and about, this is not information that I volunteer to people, because then the crazy questions start coming, and I don't mean any offense to that, but like when I'm working, the last thing I want people to know is what I do, because then while I'm trying to work, they're like, okay, well, who's around me now? Well, who's around me now? And it's really difficult. But the first time I went to Ireland, it happened and I couldn't help it. I was at a place called Ross Castle. Really neat little castle in comparison to other castles. Right there on a lake. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I think it's in Killarney.
It is.
Thank you. And I was there, luckily, the last tour of the day, and just me and another person were on it. And so you can't take pictures in there, which is fine. Be respectful, do as they ask. And so I'm listening to the tour guide say all of this stuff. All the while, I have this little 4'11", what I can only call a chambermaid looking woman standing next to me. And she's telling me everything about 5 seconds before the tour guide does. But only she's telling it a little bit more accurately and a little bit more colorful, I guess is a good way to put it. And I could not help but respond. And the tour guide looked at me funny, and I just kind of brushed it off. And then she was taking us over to the staircase, and I'm like, oh, and I did that, like that to her, because I was but responding to the little lady. And she says, what? I said, oh, they made these stairs this way because most people are right-handed. And if they're coming down fighting, they're swinging their sword with their right hand, and they've got an open way to swing it. But if somebody's coming up trying to attack and they're right-handed, they can't get any purchase on their sword swinging, And she looked at me. She goes, how do you know that? And I said, oh, here we go. and I said, well, the little lady next to me told me. And she looked over next to me. I said, you're not going to see her. I said, but I can tell you exactly what she looks like. And she's been with us the entire time. And the only place this little woman wouldn't go to is, I believe it was the very upstairs, which is what would have been like the banquet room where the guy that was over Ross Castle would have received his guests. And she would not enter that room. So, but she was telling me everything about the place. And so I had to come clean because I couldn't help but respond to her, which drew attention to me. Because it's not something that I just tell every stranger that I walk past on the street. I don't like to do that. It's, I like I said, because the questions come.
Yeah. You get the weird stuff.
Yeah. Oh, girl. Oh, do I get the weird stuff?
Yeah. Vanessa, when you were, do you think that there was a difference between being able to let people in Ireland know that you're a medium as opposed to letting people in Scotland know that you're a medium? Did you find that there was a difference in the way they received that information?
I was shockingly surprised at how well it was received my second trip to Ireland. I was shockingly surprised. But then again, it's not only am I a medium, but I'm also pagan. And that what really astounded me was that the love that we felt from everybody that we came into contact with, that was not because they thought it was cool that we did what we did or that we were, card carrying, candle burning witches and follow a pagan path, but because we respected their path. They in turn respected ours. In Scotland, I was less vocal about it. Now, I've got to be honest with you. When I go back to Scotland, there's going to be no denying it because of what our subject matter is over there. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. I really don't. I'm actually a little bit more welcomed overseas doing this than I am in the state I live in. If that tells you anything.
Oh
yeah, makes sense.
So,
makes an awful lot of sense.
What tradition do you follow?
I'm a solitary practitioner. So I don't follow the Georgian tradition or anything. It's I'm what you call and this sounds pompous and I don't mean it to be, so please understand that. I'm more of a natural witch. Oh. So so if it feels right to me, then I know it's right for me. Yeah. So it's not somebody else's tradition. And I even wrote a book about that called Rebel Witch, where I tell people, you know what? I mean, I can tell you all day long that if you're surrounded by negativity and you want to dispel that you might need a jet or an Apache tear or an obsidian. But if you walk into a crystal store with the intent of finding something to help you with negativity and you're drawn to a moss agate, baby, that's your stone, because that's the one that is calling to you. And so that's how I follow my practice. I am very much aware of my dark side. I don't use it, but I know it's there. I tried being a part of a group here, not unlike a coven. This was over a decade ago, well over a decade ago. And what I found disturbing was the underlying animosity that seemed to make people need to feel to lord their superiority, or to the standard thing of, well, someone was mean today, I'm calling on Hecate. And I'm like, you need to catch yourselves there, because that's not how this works. And and so I separated myself, and I've been solitary ever since.
The training I received was an eclectic version of Celtic and Strigoria.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Now, see, but that's great, though, because if it feels right to you, then that is exactly what you should do. Now, I'm getting ready. I don't know if you read the book or not, but I'm getting ready to blow your socks off if you didn't. Guess where I spent my second day in Ireland the second time I was there?
Loch Ness? I don't know. My knowledge of Scotland is not as much.
Oh, no, Ireland.
Oh, Ness is in Scotland, Jeff.
Obviously not Bragnestina.
Morgan's Cave.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Morrigan's Cave. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Cave of the Cats. And it's
I was going to ask you about that after all.
I had a tuxedo cat named Morrigan.
Oh, it's an amazing place. Hole in the ground, literally. Okay? It's quite literally just a hole in the ground, but you climb, it goes down 4 stories. And what is important to note is it's been there since well before the pyramids. So, and I'm severely claustrophobic, but, my chunky butt still crawled down there. I shook while I did it, but I still crawled down there. And the scrapes, those horrible scrapes I had on my knees, when I got down there, it's the whole bottom of it is full of this just amazing clay. That this makes no sense, but it is cold to the touch, but it warms your body. It makes no sense. And I took that clay and I grabbed up handfuls of it and I coated my knees in it. And within about 3 to 4 hours, my knees were healed. So the clay in the bottom of that, in the bottom of Morgan's Cave, is about 10,000 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
it's
incredible.
To be the birthplace of Samhain.
And weren't you originally greeted at the cave by a cat?
By a cat. Yep, sure was. By a cat. This is one of the few days we had a driver. And so they took us there, which you would never again find this place without somebody that knew where it was. And they took us there, and we're going to get out of the car, and it was a really somber moment for both Gwen and myself, because this is a big deal for us. Morgan's Cave is a huge deal for us. And, we get out of the car, and we look down, and here's this cat coming straight up to us, black cat coming straight up to us, and it waits for us to get our things settled, and it walks us to the entrance of the cave. And then we never see it again. No, I can't explain it. I'm not saying it's supernatural. Huh?
Very polite bouncer. Time to leave.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where, because as much as I'm a medium or a psychic or sensitive or whatever it is you want to label it, I'm also a skeptic. So it's not something that I can say this absolutely was paranormal. This absolutely was supernatural. But boy, it sure was weird. And but it was It was a beautiful moment. But the other crazy thing is after that, no matter where Gwen and I went, we were followed by crows. The entire trip.
We're ongoingly witnessing a murder. Oh, wait.
Exactly. Exactly. There was more than 2, so it wasn't an attempted murder. So there was I actually got video of when we were the last day in Balladrine. We were getting ready to get on the bus and head to Dublin because our buddies from Troon, Scotland had flown over to spend the day with us. And we were standing there waiting for the bus, and I caught the video. You only can see maybe about 300 or 400 in the video, but there was more crows than there were people in that town while we were there. And it was just a cacophony of them cawing and singing, and not just during the day. They followed us to a Catholic cemetery in the middle of the night, cawing the whole time.
Had to make it creepy somehow.
Well, but we felt
birds they don't go at night normally.
No, we felt protected. We felt very much protected. So it was never anything that was bad, you know. It was beautiful in its weirdness, which I love. Weird Beautiful is my favorite.
Now, were they crows, were they ravens, or were they magpies?
They were crows. No, magpies I've dealt with firsthand in Whitby, England. So, yeah, those I dealt with firsthand in Whitby, England. These had more of the shorter, squared tail. So they were the crows, as opposed to
ravens.
The grackles or the ravens.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful, and we loved every second of it.
Now, you said you was going to Fife?
In Scotland, yes.
Right. My wife's got a pen pal, or Facebook pal, you might say, that lives in Fife, and they've talked back and forth for the last, 12 years, seems like. They're real good friends, so she hopes to get over there someday also and be able to go visit.
It's a gorgeous area.
You absolutely should. I mean, they're starting to lift some of the restrictions. Not for us yet, but by October it should be fine. But they lifted the restrictions between Scotland and England and Wales.
Huh.
So we're getting there. Yeah, if you're coming from England or Wales, you no longer have to quarantine going into Scotland, but you still do if you're coming from Ireland or Northern Ireland. Oh. But by October we should be fine. But yeah, that's one of the locations that we're going to. But yeah, it's just she needs to do it. Matter of fact, our friend that we're staying with in Troon, Lorna Crone, and her husband we all met on social media. And I was actually able to go see Lorna. She met me in Glasgow. I went from Edinburgh to Glasgow, and she and I had dinner. And I told her at that dinner, I said, I guarantee you, I will have it to where you can see our best buddy Gwen within 2 years. And it took me 2.5, but it did it.
Yeah.
I did it. If I say I'm going to do something, I'd do it.
Well, now,
you know.
Well, flying from the United States to England, do you have to quarantine in England when you fly over? How long? I
just checked it. 10 days.
10 days.
On your own dime. On your own dime. Yeah. Oh. I just checked it, but I expect that to be lifted within the next couple of months.
Okay.
Yeah, because truthfully, if they lift it before Scotland does, then you can fly to England and rent a car and drive up to Scotland. It's 3.5 hours, 4 hours to drive.
Wow.
Yeah. It's shorter time than it takes for me to drive to my mama's house in Missouri from where I'm at.
So where would the drive
start? Or just go to platform 9 3/4 and take the Hogwarts Express.
There you go.
But where would you start? What would the 3 hours begin? Would it be like in London or Liverpool or?
Well, It's about 2.5 to 3 hours from Sheffield, which is in North Yorkshire. Mm-hmm. So if you flew into Manchester, which is north of Sheffield, yeah, it'd be about 2.5 hours. It just depends on traffic. It's not a long distance, but they don't have the higher speeds like we do, and their roads are more narrow. So their traffic, they don't have the big, huge highways going that direction like we do. But you would be driving through the Peak District and everything, and it would be absolutely stunning. And you could even stop off in Whitby, and which is just a lovely, lovely little seaside town. It's right on the North Sea. And it only has a beach during the daytime because the tide comes in at night. So you can hear that tide crashing against the cliffs, and it's just wonderful. And the Whitby Abbey that is there, my friends took me there for how old am I? 49? So this was in 2016. So I was 44. They took me for my 44th birthday to Whitby on our way to Edinburgh. And they did that because I'm such a Dracula gal. Yeah. And Bram Stoker wrote about Whitby in the book Dracula.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So, yes, I highly recommend it. And plus, y'all, I know I can't have it now because I'm on keto, but they've got the best fudge ever. Ever.
Wow.
Best fudge. Yes, in Whitby, England. So,
is it blood-filled?
Well, mine was pink. But I don't think it was blood. But
I had to ask.
It was pink, But we ate at the
cherries.
I know, right? We ate at the Magpie restaurant there, and it's that thing's burned down like 3 times. They're like the Energizer Bunny. They just keep on going. But it's a beautiful, beautiful little seaside fishing town. It's amazing.
Now, when you were in Whitby Abbey, did you actually go into the Abbey itself?
You couldn't get into it at that time, but I was less than 100 feet away. I stayed in the Whitby Hostel, which, y'all, for the listeners, hostels over there are not like the movie. Okay? Just letting you know, they're not like the movie. This was lovely. We had our own bathroom, even, in this.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah, and it was, I think, $50 American a night, and it slept 4.
Well, that's not bad.
No, not at all. Matter of fact, when we stayed in Edinburgh, we were there for 2 nights and 3 days. We rented an apartment, an Airbnb. It was cheaper, and it was a luxury apartment, and it was haunted.
Yep.
It was haunted. The woman that lived there, the spirit that was there, she kept me up all night the first night trying to feed me bangers and mash.
Why not?
Yeah, she wanted to cook for me so bad, and I'm just like, just let me rest, okay?
Yep.
A little bit of sleep. A little bit of sleep is lovely. I need the beauty sleep, please. So, yeah, it's a good time.
So do you do investigations?
Oh, yes.
Did you do some over there?
In Ireland, I absolutely did. It's weird, and I've told people this before. It's like, even if I don't get to go on a regular investigation, if they're there, I know it and I'm communicating. But in Ireland, we did, because that was our purpose for being there. The group that I was with my first trip to England and Scotland, when we were in Scotland, that wasn't what everybody else's purpose was. So I was less able to do it that way, which was fine. That was more of a vacay. But I did physical investigations at Greystew Priory in England, at Old Queen's Head in England. Both of those are in Sheffield. And then in Ireland, and I was at the Hellfire Caves in England. But in Ireland, Hellfire Club, did my own little thing there. Again, I told you about Ross Abbey, or Ross Castle. Went to the Ross Abbey too, but investigated Spellman's Motel, the house next to it in Balladrine, the Catholic graveyard, famine graveyard, the abandoned convent. Oh, good gravy. We went to, and this was hard. We went to the Bon Secure's Mother and Baby Home and Tomb, and we did not investigate. And I know people think that me and Gwen are crazy when we say why we didn't. And I've actually been told I was crazy. I was actually told on another podcast that I was stupid for not doing that. But here's the thing. This is the way that I look at it. We all know, for the most part, what happened in the Mother and Baby homes. We know what happened to these children. We know that over 800 of them were, in my own personal opinion, murdered and disposed of on those grounds with the Bon Secure Mother and Baby homes and Tomb. We know that. The last thing I'm going to do is pull out an EVP recorder and demand one of them make their presence known.
Yeah, exactly.
No. We documented the area. We let people see what we saw. We paid homage to the location. And then we left. Because some places do not need to be sensationalized like that. And that is one of them. And people can call me all day long. I don't care.
I do have to ask you, now that some time has passed and you had a chance to reflect, what you thought that red mist that you found there was.
I wish I knew. I really do. I feel like and let me explain why I'm saying it this way. I feel like even though it was red, it wasn't completely negative. It wasn't. But it was watchful. But it didn't want to interact. Now, the reason I'm putting that way is because when we were at, I forgot our biggest investigation when we were there, Moore Hall. When we were there towards the end of the investigation, and I'm getting surrounded, the mist showed up in photos as gold. And they wouldn't leave me alone. And I don't walk away from investigations. I don't do that. I've been known to do some pretty stupid things because I'm a channeler, and so I let them use my body as a vehicle. I'm that stupid sometimes. But this was too much. There was just so many. And we caught it all on videotape, all of it. And I'm just like, y'all stop. This is too many of you. I can't do it. Please. And I'm walking, I'm almost running because it was just too much. So we have the gold of them trying to come at me. And then we have the red that's staying in the distance watching us. And I feel personally, and I just think it showed up more over there, I think that happens a lot. I think they're feeling people out on these, when they step on to the land, waiting to see, okay, is this person going to be disrespectful? What are they doing? And they're kind of staying on guard. And the place where the majority of that red mist was there were, what do they call them? Like battle encampments. Like there were things under the ground, like they were, how we have earthworks over here, right? Where the earth is built up to kind of block things, and then you're down in it, kind of like that, and it's hidden back in the woods. But then they had their areas inside the ground where they would have kept their the weapons that maybe weren't in use, or food or water or whatnot. And so I think that's why it kind of stayed on that outer circle, just to see what we were about.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, because I've had that happen here in my area whenever I've visited battlefields.
Yes.
And there's a couple of places in particular where I can get up close to it, and even in the daytime, it seemed like there was even a little bit of a fog or a mist in the area, and you look at it and you suddenly see shapes, and you realize that they're there in that mist. And they're either just watching you, Or they might kind of come up on you a little bit at a time, but they're wanting to know what you're there for, what your intentions are. And let's face it, if you're there in an area where there's been trauma such as battle and so forth, or any kind of fighting, the first thing they're going to want to know is, are you friend or foe?
Exactly. Well, now, and I do have to let me clarify on one of the red mists. When we were at I call it the abandoned convent, we cannot get the name of this place to save our lives. It is like sequestered and secreted in a way that I've never seen. Okay.
Where is this?
And it's in Roscommon County. And the thing is,
right up next to the border of Northern Ireland.
Yeah, it's you can't even see the building from the road at all. But here's the thing: we were able to get back onto the back of the property, not trespassing or nothing like that. We were able to get back onto the back part of the property, away from the main building, and that is where we saw there's this tunnel that leads out to the body of water where basically, if I'm being honest, an escape can be made. And what we were told about this particular convent is people would drop off their newborns and they would take them, well, they were made to, let's just face it. Okay. We all know what was going on, and girls were made to do it. And they would, if they had the babies at home, they would be taken to this convent, and they were actually passed through a door where the nun or whoever was doing it never saw the mother dropping it off, and the mother never saw the nun taking the child.
Right.
That's how the door worked. What was really upsetting is in that tunnel that led to this body of water, that red mist took on the shape of somebody wearing a cardinal's cloak.
A cardinal's cloak?
Yes.
Ooh, that's high up.
Yes. And that was what was upsetting. That is also where we caught anomalies on film that make absolutely no sense. No sense. I'm not talking, oh, hey, there's an orb. Could it be dust? Could it be moisture? We caught something that on the film looks to be 6 inches long, cylindrical, and gold.
Wow.
And
payoff.
Yes, and we caught it. Oh, but nobody cares because we didn't freak out. That's the funny thing. That's what amazes me. You wouldn't believe the evidence we caught in Ireland. No one cared because we didn't freak out. I got to go here for just a second. Love y'all, got to go here, okay? We were at Moore Hall, probably one of the darkest places I've been, aside from that private residence in Virginia. And the fella that was with us, about 6'3", 6'4", a good 260. He runs private security, so he was our protector for the night to make sure that we were safe, and he was our driver. And Moore Hall is about 4 stories tall. It is ginormous. Okay, the first floor windows. You can't get inside the place because it's treacherous, and they've blocked off all of the entrances for you to be able to get into. And they don't worry about the windows because this is how high they are. He had to fashion a makeshift ladder just to be able, at 6'4", to put his elbows on the foot deep or 18 inches deep windowsill of solid stone. Okay? And just to be able to take pictures inside the place with his regular camera. I think he had an iPhone. So he turned off his phone completely and sat it face down on the windowsill about 10 inches away from him. Gwen has the camera trained on him the entire time. So there's no way we could have done anything to this film. You watch that that phone turn on, then you watch the flashlight come on, and then it gets thrown off the windowsill. While
no light in here, boy.
Yep, while he's taking pictures using a regular camera. And no one said boo. Best evidence I've ever seen in my life, 100% not fake. Nobody cared. Because instead of us freaking out going, oh my God, they must want us to leave. I just waddled my chunky little butt over there and picked it up and handed it back to him and said, maybe we ought to go around back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to say it. If you go to a place to investigate and you get evidence of activity, why would you freak out? They're
and
only
leave.
What you expected them to do. I have to be honest with you. To me, when people freak out about it, that tells me they don't believe in it and that they're shocked that it happened. I truly, that is exactly how I feel. They either know it's fake and they have to act it, or they don't believe in it.
Well, it's the kids' mentality of, I dare you to step over that line, and then when they do, it's like, what? You stepped over?
Exactly. You know?
I've told
Calling
this story.
their bluff.
I've told this before, but Vanessa, you haven't heard it. I was doing an investigation at a Masonic lodge here on the border of Pasadena, and we're going room to room. I was with a group, and we had done the first room, which was sort of the bar and billiard table, and it was very small, and we cleared, okay, nothing there. We moved into the auditorium, and all of a sudden, we hear something weird in the room we had just vacated, and everybody froze, and I start walking to the room, and they're like, where are you going? I'm like, that's where the sound came from. What do you think we're doing here?
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if you're going to wig out every time something happens on an investigation, then maybe you shouldn't go on them.
Well, you're just trying to get your ratings higher if you're on a TV show.
True. Oh, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Because,
Please just don't.
I have to say this. I thought I was going to pee my pants because I've been to West Virginia State Penitentiary. I've been there. I investigated all night long, okay? And I was with BPI, with Gwen Clapper's group, Beyond Perception Investigators. And so I've been in there. I know what's going on in there. I'd go in there by myself. I feel fine. Now, I'm not saying there's not anything threatening there. There is, but I can handle myself. I mean, I even channeled in the Sugar Shack, if that tells you anything.
Oh, you didn't.
Oh, wow. I did. Yes, and she was able to confirm it, including one of the officers' names.
In the Sugar Shack? What is that?
Yeah.
Bad scene. It's let's just say it's not a place a small inmate would ever want to find himself with a bunch of other bigger ones. Okay?
Yeah.
Like solitary confinement?
There's a whole lot of loving going on in the Sugar Shack. And it's not all consensual. My voice changed, my face changed, everything changed. It was awful. But
don't drop the soap.
No, don't drop the soap. But what killed me was another show went there, and was it? Yeah, I think it was another show went there and filmed, or another team went there. I can't remember who it was, and filmed, and they're like, oh, they're what do you call it? This coming down from us. They're dropping their saliva on us. I'm like, dude, condensation. Can you say it? I know you can. First off, you're talking to a dental professional. 22 now. I can tell you right now, spirits don't have salivary glands. Give me another.
Yeah. It's spit, guys.
I about lost it. I really did. I about lost it. So yeah, I don't watch much TV.
Well, some of it is more amusing than others. But I was investigating, Linda Vista Hospital before it got sold, and we heard this weird scratching sounds, and people were just frozen. And I'm like, well, it's in here. And I go in and I say, well, here's our culprits. And there's a row of lockers with slanted tops and trying to hold purchase or about 3 pigeons.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
Oh, bless them. See, and that's, I mean, but that's what people need to do. They would rather say, oh, you won't believe what I heard, but they won't go look and see what it actually is.
Yep.
That's one of the things that that impressed me so much when I met Gwen online first and then in person, because I visited her quite a few times. When they investigate, her main objective is always rule out regular activity if you can. She's an ex-police officer, ex-firefighter, ex-EMT. So logic is in her DNA, you know, and I think it's very easy for people to always want to lean towards the fantastical. But it's not practical to do that, especially if you're doing a home investigation for somebody. You know, you better know what you're dealing with, because you can really upset a family.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And that's not why I'm in this to do it. I mean, heck, I've flown halfway across the country to Virginia because there were kids involved to do an investigation, simply because there were kids involved. You know, and I better be on my game. I better be honest, and I better be able to back up what I say.
Yeah.
And
I just think the whole thing is about respect, and it's also about, you know, the knowledge of the location and the people involved and the possible spirits involved. But to me, the first and foremost in the business of paranormal investigation and being a medium or being a psychic, the whole thing is respect for both the living and the dead.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I've only recently started getting into. Well, like for Scotland, I'm having to do research for that, because we're leaning not just towards the paranormal. Okay. And that's all I can say on that. But before that, you know, with the majority of the other investigations I've done, especially with the remote viewing, if I'm doing it for another team halfway across the world, I don't know anything about where they're going or where I'm going if it's an investigation that I'm physically going to be at, because I don't want to cheat. I don't want to have any upfront information that I can look up or anything like that. I don't even drive to locations. I don't drive to them. Somebody will pick me up and take me to it. That way I don't know where I'm going. That way I can give the most accurate reading I possibly can, you know, and I've told this story before. It's my best example of remote viewing, my best example. And I was working with a team out of Sheffield, England, called NP Paranormal, that they now go by Knox Paranormal. And one of the team members messaged me on WhatsApp, and he said, "Hey, Vanessa, we're going to do an investigation this afternoon. You're going to be available?" And because I would do their live stream stuff with them too after I sent them all my information. And I said, sure, you know. And I said, I'll just, whatever I can get between now and then, I'll send it to you on here. And so it's not like I sit there and go, okay, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? I go about my day and it just comes. That's how it works best for me. If I try, I'm going to jack it up. So I'm going about my day, working on patients, everything else. And I send them everything that I'm getting. He messages me back when I said, okay, well, this is it. This is, I think I'm done. Okay. And he messages me back, and he goes, that really doesn't make a lot of sense as to where we're going. I said, well, I can't change it because this is exactly what they're showing me. So I might just be wrong, and that's okay too. But I'll hop on live stream and get on live stream. And this back when they were using the live stream platform. And he starts out saying, he goes, well, you're not going to believe this. He goes, Vanessa sent us all of the information for the investigation tonight, but it didn't match up, and we didn't know why, and now we do. And it's because apparently the location they were going to go to, they couldn't get into. So their backup location was what I sent them all the information on.
Oh, wow. Talk about cross-wired.
That well,
good.
Not me.
Yeah, it was them, but I mean, you got it right, but you know, they cross-wired you.
Yeah,
All
they
right.
didn't even know that they were going to be going to it.
Wow.
All right, we're
Yeah.
we're
Go ahead.
coming up on a break, and it'll be about 6-7 minutes, something like that for the break. But before we go to break, we wanted to talk a little bit with about Tabby Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Tabby Cat is now officially one of the co-hosts here on the Paranormal View, and we want to welcome her because she has a lot of input, and she's going to do a great job for us. I've been investigating for years with her, and she had her own show. It is now no longer on the air, and that is why we got her to come over to be with us. So for me, I want to welcome you, and I'm sure that Barbara and Jeff does too.
Yeah, welcome to the dark side. We got cookies.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
And when we come
Oh.
back from break, we get to discuss my favorite topic, pirates.
All right.
Oh, I know where you're going.
All right. Remember, you guys won't hear anything while we're on break, but your mics are live, so don't say anything till we come back. It'll be about 6-7 minutes. You'll hear me when we come back. So with that, Jeff, you want to take us out?
Yep. You're listening to the Paranormal View on para-x.com with hosts Henry Foister, Ceiling Gould, with tonight's guest Vanessa Hogle. So stay tuned for more Paranormal View after the break.
Whether you're listening at home, at work, or anywhere, thanks for making Para-X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal, Para-X.
And welcome back, everybody, right here to the Paranormal View on the Para-X Radio Network. I want to thank everyone for being with us tonight. Those in the chat room and those listening from around the world, I want to thank each and every one. So tonight we have with us Barbara Duncan.
Good evening, everyone.
And speaking of listeners from around the world, where do we have listeners at tonight?
They're listening in all over the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Spain, and unknown. Yes.
Well, the unknown usually hangs out with us, but Spain, huh? I don't think we've had them for a while.
That's neat.
We've had Spain a few times, yes.
Yeah. And we want to welcome back Jeffrey Gould.
Hello. I should point out with Ceiling Cat and now Tabby Cat as co-host, if we get Cat Cloco as a guest again, we'll have to hide the catnip.
And we do want to welcome back Tabby Cat.
Good evening, everybody.
And we want to welcome our great guest, Vanessa Hogle.
Hello.
All right. We was talking about some different things, and Barbara was saying we got some good topics coming up here. And what did you say we was going to be talking about?
Well, everybody who listens to the show know how much I love pirate stories.
Oh, and you speak a Grace O'Malley, do you?
Number one, it's pirates, but it's also a woman pirate, and that is really rare.
Yeah.
Oh, she was a force to be reckoned with. She was. Grace O'Malley was something to see. And she didn't give two hoots what anybody thought. Love her. That's all I'm going to say. Love her.
Yeah, there's different types of pirates. There's pirates, there's pirateers.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the pirates that fly the black flag, and then some that fly the red one. But she just pretty much went through and she didn't care what ship it was. She grabbed whatever's on there.
She annihilated.
Yeah.
She really did. She was like I said, a force to be reckoned with. something, in all honesty, I think that every woman should really fashion themselves after. You know, they don't, I mean, it wasn't that she was not loving. I mean, she commanded respect because I don't think she was ever willing to ask others to do anything she wasn't willing to do herself. And to me, that commands respect, when you're willing to put yourself out there as much as you're wanting others to do the same. So well, I think that's also pretty important.
The 1600s, women on ships, especially pirate ships, was considered bad luck to begin with. But, you know, the fact that she could stand there and command respect from these pirates was really quite amazing.
Exactly. And I actually was lucky enough, blessed enough to be able to hold some of the coins that might have actually passed through her hands.
Wow. They
were found at the location that she took her last breaths at. And that's something to see. And what was funny is, as I'm holding them, not funny, funny like, oh, that's strange. As I'm holding them, and I've got my eyes closed, because that's generally how I do things when I describe them, because I don't want to see people's reactions. I don't want to feed off that or cheat. Again, you know how I feel about cheating, Kat. But I was explaining to her, and it turns out I was describing her, not knowing at that time who she was, exactly how she was supposed to be. So that's not to toot my own horn, because I don't care about that. What I want that to tell people is that is how much energy you can transfer onto something without even realizing it.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
to me, that's the way to look at it. Oh, yeah, she had to be.
Just amazing. Do you know how she died, by the way?
I think she died of natural causes. She was in her, I want to say, late 60s.
Oh, wow.
When she passed.
Okay. Oh, that was a good age for that period of time. Wow. That was old age for that period of time.
And don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that, because it's, you know, I try to remember that stuff, but when I write, it's almost like I'm dumping my brain. So, because it's going on paper, so there it is. I don't have to remember it. But I want to say I think she was older than I am now. I'm 49, and even 49 back then was a good age to live to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, especially living such a life. Absolutely. But
she would have been plundering the ships that were going up the coast from Portugal, Spain, England, that area.
Oh yeah, well, and she met the Queen of England.
Oh,
on
really?
on her own terms, she did. Oh. She sure did. She did not believe in pomp and circumstance, and was not one to put on airs, even for royalty.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. Oh yeah. Can't not like her. Like I said, she is somebody that is very much something to aspire to. I'm not saying go out and start being a pirate, y'all. Don't get me wrong, but the air of confidence and the work ethic and everything, it's there's something to be said for that. She gave women someone to look up to.
Well, I mean, there were female highwaymen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so I assume that, you know, there was a lot more equality to pirating than we were all led to believe. You know, it's because it's quite, like I said, very fascinating to me that given the time period that there would be pirates who would even be willing to do that.
I mean,
and let her live without a mutiny.
We get the majority of our information from Hollywood. So, you know, because that's just the way of it, and not everything is Pirates of the Caribbean, you know.
Sure.
But I also believe that her father, she learned from her father. I want to say I'm right on that, and that now, granted, that wouldn't have automatically commanded her respect, but learning the work ethic from him and how to do things, and not being not putting herself above it or saying, oh, well, I am a girl, I can't do that, that would do it. I went ahead and looked it up on my computer while I'm sitting here. She was born around 1530 and died in 1603.
Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
she was 72, 73 years old. Yeah. There was something to be said for that. And they believe that she died at a Rockfleet Castle, which is, I believe, where those coins were found.
Okay.
So the person that owns them told us that. And they, quite literally dug them out of the ground.
Cool.
Yeah. So speaking of coins, I don't know if you, did I put this in the book? Maybe I didn't. I think I did. Did you read about the other coins I have? The ones I physically have in my possession?
I think you briefly mentioned it.
Yeah. I came back from Ireland with a backpack full of relics.
Yeah.
And they were given to me and Gwen. I have 3 headless statues, a Last Rites Bible from 1888. We had a total of 10 Sharon of Obala coins, which are the death coins that go on the eyes, adults and children's. There's a difference. And a bottle of holy water. And all of that had been hidden inside of a priest's wall since before his death, and he died in 1939.
That's odd.
Oh.
Yes. He was trained and sanctioned by the Vatican to perform exorcisms, and his diocese was in Michigan. And he went back to Ireland to live out his last days, and then he passed away there. And his family found these in the wall.
Wow.
And they were given to us, 2 pagans, 2 practicing witches. They were given to us. But we want to know what the craziest thing was? Oh, and by the way, we'll never get rid of them.
Of course.
Ever. They're not going to end up being sold to anybody's museum. I don't care, because at least with us, we know they're safe. But one of the statues was Philomena, who was a martyrdized virgin. I think she was 12 or 13 years old, and her body was found hundreds of years after her death. But what is very strange about that is we did not know until we got back that one of those statues, one of them that I have here, was of Philomena. And I don't know if y'all are aware of this or not, but there was a movie called Philomena, and it is about a woman, a true story about a woman whose son was taken from her when they were part of the mother and baby homes when she was a teenage girl. Okay. And that was a direct tie-in. It was very strange for, out of all the statues that we could be given, that particular one had a direct correlation to one of the places that we were going to visit while we were there. How strange is that?
No, I don't think it's strange. I think it's connections.
Absolutely.
There's a string of events and things, people, places, and so forth that just kind of comes along like the little knots. You tie a knot in something, and you go along, and then you tie a knot, to mark a period of time or whatever. I think, in truth, that our lives do have that sort of connection. So if you go to one place and you meet somebody and maybe they give you something or they tell you something, and you find out that the next place that you go to has a connection to that, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it is some sort of a life connection. There's a psychic connection between everything. It's the little knots in that
makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Hen.
There's no such things as accidents.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's
Except for the ones that Vanessa does on her knees. She falls and busts her butt. Yeah, those are accidents.
all I'm saying. But I think you're right. I mean, I started to come back into contact with what I believe is my soul family during a very rough time in my life. And like Gwen, I mean, she is my soul sister. Dave Newton over in Sheffield, I swear he is my brother from a past life. Same with Abby and her fiance Laura. I swear they're family from a past life. Chris Loper in Virginia, who is Gwen's right-hand man, I know I had a past life with him. I mean, he is such a dear friend. And it's strange how that happens. I mean, when you're at your lowest. I mean, I was in an awful relationship, being verbally abused and just dealing with, I mean, I thought so little of myself that seeing where I am now, I couldn't have even, there was no way I would have thought it was possible. No way. But those people come into your life and they start to lift you up inch by inch by inch, and you start to believe in yourself again, and you make them believe in themselves, and then they make somebody else believe in themselves. You know, that's all part of that connected clan, and it's an absolutely beautiful thing. And I think that we all get so busy with all the crap that goes on with our lives and everything that we miss a lot of those. We miss a lot of those connections like you're talking about, Kat. We miss a lot of that. And sometimes you got to get knocked on your butt to take a breath so that you can kind of see it a little bit more clear. And that's what happened for me. I mean, it's, you know, that's all that bio, except for the Animal Planet thing, the majority of that bio is in the last 6 years.
Wow.
Now, I have done this for 47 years, but the majority of that bio is happened in the last 6 years.
Huh. Now,
crazy, right?
I know.
Wow.
You pick up on things. Do you see things when you're at these places and feel them? Well, see,
oh, yeah.
I don't do that. I go places, and very rarely do I see something or actually hear something with my ear. Everything I do is usually caught on recorder. And there's only a few times that I've done anything like that. One, I was with the Cat. Where was that place at where we heard the guys downstairs talking?
The Pry House at Antietam Battlefield.
Right. Everybody was upstairs in one room doing a recording session, and I'm standing in the doorway with Kat, and I'm hearing talking downstairs, and there wasn't anybody else in the house.
Yep.
I did that, and the other time that I seen something, we was in Gettysburg at the David Stewart farm. And we was all out in the barn, and I kept seeing little red dots out there. And they must have been 10, 12 people in the barn all at one end. And these little red dots was at the other end. They get bright and go dim. And finally, I said, does anybody see those? And they all, yeah, we see them. I said, well, what is it? And he said, it's a Confederate soldier smoking.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean,
that's awesome.
But it's stuff like that I might catch, but it's very rare. So,
well, I have one for you that you're going to get a kick out of, and this all caught on video. This was years ago, about 4.5 years ago. It was on my first trip to Virginia. This was after the private investigation, and one of the places, it was one of the last places that Gwen took me to before I was supposed to get on my flight and come back home. That ended up getting canceled, and I got a whole nother day. It was great. But they took me to Hollywood Cemetery, and they didn't even get a chance to stop the car. They pulled into Hollywood Cemetery, and I was out the back door running. Okay. And poor Gwen, bless her. I'm so happy that she can run because I mean, I am Jackie Joyner Kersey if they hop in me and start leading me. I take off like a bullet. And she caught the whole thing on camera. I'm running and then I slow down and you watch my right hand go out. And I have no recollection of this, by the way, none. And something is holding my hand and leading me to what I think just looks like a headstone. Turns out, I believe it's the first Confederate soldier buried at Hollywood Cemetery.
Huh.
Led me straight to the grave, and Gwen caught up with me. She filmed the whole thing, but finally caught up with me. I was on my knees with my head down in front of that grave.
Huh.
I've never been there. Yeah. So it's I have a thing with soldiers. For whatever reason, I've been to Sailor's Creek battlefield.
Yeah.
Oh, they swarmed me.
Have you been
Whole thing caught on video too.
Have you been to Gettysburg?
Not yet.
Oh,
you're going to.
This is why I'm moving.
Oh gosh, Vanessa, when you get to my neck of the woods, yeah, you and I are going to get together. You're going to Gettysburg. You're going to Antietam. You're going to Monocacy. You're going to Fredericksburg. Oh yeah.
This is why I'm moving. When people ask me, Vanessa, why are you moving to Virginia? I'm like, well, first off, my business is there. And I'm not ever going to say that business is going to make me enough money to where I don't have to do my other job. It might not. We'll see. But also, my business is there. My buddies are there. And in 6 hours, I can be in New York, or 6 hours, I can be in Savannah, Georgia. To me, you can't ask for no more than that.
Or in an hour and a half, you can be in D.C. and meet up with me.
True story. But I mean, y'all, I am in the center of the United States. I'm in Oklahoma.
Wow.
And the only thing truly keeping me here is my son. Well, my son turned 18. He's graduating high school next month, and he's going into the service. I'm not staying here.
Wow.
So I'm selling everything I own, with the exception of my car, packing up what little I'm taking, and Gwen's flying out here, or not flying out here, she's driving out here. We're going to pack my stuff up in her Tahoe, and we're going to tow my car back so we can be in the same car, and I am starting my life new.
Wow.
Yep. Cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah, and are you planning on visiting like Williamsburg and Yorktown when you get there?
You're going to laugh at me because I actually want to be a tourist. I do. I was like, the first trip, I got to go to Williamsburg. I want the fanny pack, the camera hanging from my neck. I'm going to be a straight up tourist. I don't even care, But yeah, I have always been drawn since I was a little girl to the East Coast.
Wow.
Always been drawn there. I've always been drawn to New Orleans as well, but I go there. I went 10 times in 3 years. But I've always wanted to live on the East Coast. And I think one of the main reasons for that is I'm a water baby, and I have got to be near a large body of water. I need that for my
you're
soul.
You're going to be not very far away from Virginia Beach, so yeah.
Virginia Beach, Colonial Beach, Fossil Beach, you name it. They're all right there, and I will be spending a lot of time. Plus, Gwen and I are going to be filming a lot.
Wow.
We have a lot of projects in the works. So, yeah, it's going to get hectic.
For about the last 8 years, we've been going to Gettysburg every year around April. And we usually get about 15 people that comes from all over just to be there with us for the weekend. And I usually have a place lined up where I do the show from live. And then we go out on the battlefield and all kinds of different things. We just have a big party then at night. So
that's awesome. Well, I'm going to try to make it to some of that stuff because y'all,
you've got to. Got to.
I'm not involved in the community at all here in Oklahoma.
Oh.
At all. I go to work, I come home. That is all I do. and I do my drawings because I've got my Redbubble store with all of my art and everything on it that Gwen and I do. She does all the logos, and she uploads all of my art onto T-shirts, blankets, shower curtains, you name it. So I have all that. I'm in the middle of another book that I'm hoping will be out the end of May called Living Psychic, and it is a way more in-depth version of Rebel Witch. And it's yes, I'm going to cover everything. Sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, psychic mediumship, the different clairs, remote viewing, the whole kit and caboodle is going to be covered in that in very much layman's terms, so that people can see, how it pertains to them, how it relates to them, how you deal with it while also trying to be in a relationship, raise a family, have a job. It's because it's not easy. It's not easy. And sometimes I get so unbelievably overwhelmed. Like I'm talking to you guys right now, and I'm looking around my house. I'm like, girl, you got to clean, because,
well, it is spring,
but I work 50 hours a week outside the home, then do readings, which I did a reading right before the show. I do tarot readings. I do the art, write the books, and then you have to make a presence on social media or else people forget about you, so I have to do that, and I worked today. We were open on a Saturday because we're so backed up with patients. So I don't have a lot of time, and it's all this stuff is still there. Yeah. And I know I'm not the only one. So I just kind of want to help people understand how to deal with it. This is what I do. Find what works for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Okay. When did you first know that you had the gift of being a medium? How did that come about?
I didn't really know it. If I'm being honest, I didn't, because I was too young. I was too young to understand what was going on. But my first experience, I was 2 years old.
2?
And 2. Yes, I was born on my grandmother's birthday, March 14th. I was born in 1972. She died February 5th, 1974, before I was to turn 2 years old. She came to me on my birthday, which was her birthday. So she came to me when I was 2. So in that instance, I was very blessed that my first experience that I can remember was one of a loving nature. That has not been a blessing that has followed me since. Okay. I think because I'm not a judgmental person, that it is that I am the person that a lot of the negative stuff wants to come to. You know what I mean? Or if they've suffered severe trauma, murder victims, soldiers losing their legs. I mean, when I was in Hollywood Cemetery, I mean, I was surrounded by soldiers that, to me, they were walking as if they still had all their limbs, but there wasn't a leg, or they were missing an arm, or they were missing half their head. But they're walking around me and talking to me as if there's nothing wrong with them. So it would be great for me to say it's always sunshine and roses, but it isn't, and the channeling has almost gotten me killed a couple of times. But before I learned how to control it, and before I learned that I could keep part of myself still in there, it was very dangerous for me. But I've learned how to allow them in without completely leaving myself.
Okay.
So
now when Vanessa, when you refer to channeling, I know that has a different meaning for different people. Now, as a medium, when you hear the spirits, when you see symbols or objects or something like that to interpret to someone or to try and figure out what in the heck it is that they're saying to you. But I know that some people that I've talked to, when they ask me if I channel the spirits, they refer to those mediums that actually allow the spirit to take you over, to use your vocal cords to speak through you. And a lot of people now, like myself, I'm scared to death of the idea of doing that. It really does scare me, and I refuse to do it. And I've had people ask me, well, what is the difference between what you do and channeling? So can you kind of give an interpretation there?
I sure can. There's a
when
huge
you get to the point
difference.
where you can't breathe.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. Okay, my first recollection of channeling, and when I say recollection, the first time somebody told me I did it, okay, because I still to this day have no memory of it. That channeling experience took my body 18 blocks away from where I was, in and out of traffic, up and down alleyways, and it was Marie Laveau.
Huh?
Yes. Me and the 3 girls that I was with were in New Orleans. It was our last day there. We were actually in the business district. We had went to eat at Mother's. Lovely place. I mean, it's crazy and it's loud. It's a little bit dirty, but amazing food. And we were standing outside, and I was so upset because I wanted to see Marie Laveau's tomb before we left, and we had no idea where it was. No idea. It was our first trip there. Didn't know how to get there. Didn't know anything. And we were all standing out there talking about it, and we knew we were going to have to leave in a few hours. And according to the 3 women that were with me, one of which is a doctor, said that I was standing there like nothing was wrong with me. Everything was fine. And then my chin dropped to my chest, and then my head popped back up, and they said that I was nowhere behind my eyes. That was not me. And they said I turned around and did what apparently they call, and multiple people have seen this, and they call it my super spidey speed, where I take off, but I'm not running, but you won't catch me. And I was darting in and out of traffic and going up and down alleyways, and 18 blocks later, they caught up with me. And I was standing on the grass median that separated the street right in front of, I think it's St. Louis number 1. And they said I waited till they got right behind me, and I held my hand up, and they said a voice came out of me that said, just a second. And then I walked across that road into St. Louis number 1 and walked straight to Marie Laveau's tomb. And that's where I woke up.
That's scary.
Yep. Oh, it gets better. Did the same thing at Jacques Saint Germain's house.
No, you didn't.
Girl, I tried to break in. To break in. And one of the girls that was with me actually was in my face, according to her, yelling, Vanessa, are you there, Vanessa? And she said I looked at her like I had no idea who she was. And then I turned around and sat down, then laid down on the sidewalk, and that's where I woke up.
Okay, so from that kind of experience, which is something that you would actually see in, on a horror film, or on one of these documentaries about people getting possessed or something. Now, see, that's the sort of thing, Vanessa, that scares the dickens out of me. The idea of allowing myself. And so what advice would you give to people to protect yourself from that happening?
Tell them to not do it. I'm being dead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but it sounds
I'm being dead serious. Don't do it.
But, I mean, how would, as a medium, how would you allow yourself not to? I mean, I can tell, if I can tell that there's a spirit that really wants to come through me because they're adamant about getting a message or something across, or something, and I'll let them know, well, no, you just tell me. You don't come into me, you don't use my vocal cords, you tell me what you want to say.
Yeah. I wish
Just
I
have to
had.
firm about it.
Well, see here. This is the thing, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I'm always honest. I'm a do as I say, not as I do kind of girl. So I've done it so much, and I'm so comfortable that I'm willing to take a risk that I'm not willing to tell somebody else to take.
Okay.
Okay. And that's not me thinking that I'm all that. I am not all that. Believe me. But that seems to be something that I can do and I can do well.
Yeah.
And so, if it happens, I mean, it's, and they don't always speak. Sometimes they take me, like I said, to a location, or sometimes, they have me screaming for rain in the front yard of an old slave house in Virginia because they were a Haitian slave who was there. I mean, I never know what's going to happen, but I have learned that I can still stay somewhat present. And the best way I can explain that is, I mean, imagine if you drew a body on a piece of paper and you colored it all in black. That's you. Now, when the spirit tries to come in, you start erasing you. The outline of the body is still there, but you're erasing you until it's all the way gone because the spirit's in there and you're not there. Well, I've learned how to not erase all of the picture now.
Okay.
I can stay somewhat present. And I've had to learn how to do that by putting my foot down, really, is what it is. Because it's not that I do this all the time. Do I talk to spirits all the time? Sure. Do I let them do that? No. Only if it's necessary. But now I did get jumped in Dublin. That wasn't my fault. I was exhausted. We had been investigating for 8 days. Like I said, for anyone who's listening, you had two middle-aged women that we put in 200 foot miles in 8 days. 200 foot miles. We walked over 200 miles in 8 days. Yes.
Loved you.
Yes. So when I got jumped in Dublin, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, and I was in a crowded place. I was in a restaurant when this happened, and poor Lorna's husband, he had no idea what was going on. But Lorna and Gwen saw what was happening, and I guess what really creeped them out the most, and what made it to where Gwen got me out of there and had me pinned against the front wall of this place out on the sidewalk. She had to pin me against the wall, was because apparently when this fellow who had died a traumatic death, he had been stabbed. He was a drunkard and he was not a nice person. We were able to confirm who it was right there on the spot with some people that worked in the pub. Through me, he told them when we're sitting there at the table, and I can send y'all a picture of what I looked like when it happened compared to what I actually look like. It don't even look like me. And he says, he goes, "I can hear you, but I can't see you." And apparently he was saying that through me to Lorna and Gwen. Yeah.
Now,
And it was going to get ugly.
How on earth did you survive the Hellfire Club? Because it seems to me that it's one thing to be jumped by a ghost that really doesn't have any of that expertise that, say, somebody who understands ritual and understands the esoteric like the Hellfire Club people did. I mean, those are two completely kinds of different spirits.
The guy at the Hellfire Club was too pious, and he was too cocksure of himself. I don't think that he really thought I was going to see what I was going to see once I got in there. because I had no indication that I was going to see what I was going to see. I mean, when I came up the back way, and we can't forget either that I had already seen that big, huge buck, which is so unheard of there that was like being touched. You know what I mean? It was a spiritual experience in and of itself.
Right.
So, because that just doesn't happen. You don't see them, especially one that looks like he's got a 6-foot rack. Okay. Yes, he was enormous, and he and I held eye contact for a good 10, 15 seconds. And that was on my way up to the Hellfire Club. So, and all of my anxiety about going up there eased because of him. So I think that I went in there a bit protected. But as I come up the back and I'm approaching the back of the Hellfire Club, that is where I saw the guy in the papal hat. And I mean, yes, complete. I don't know if I can say curse words on here or not, so I won't. But yes, he was not a nice guy. We'll put it that way. And I could tell from the look on his face he was not a nice guy, But I had to sit down, and it just so happened to be where they had excavated everything. How funny is that? I had to sit down and draw him, and I did. And I didn't know at that time that where he was standing, he was hiding something. And what he was hiding was the room that I ended up seeing those 2 children in. But see, when I first came into the Hellfire Club, I didn't feel anything negative. I was like, hey, really? Now this has been built up in my mind that there's this, and this. And I was actually kind of like let down until I got underneath those stairs. And then all the wind was just knocked out of me. And I'm not trying to make myself, sound like more than I actually am. But when I come up against somebody like him, I'm as much of a jerk as what he looked like. I'm not even remotely intimidated. When you come across something like I did in that barn in Virginia, when you see that firsthand, there's not a soul walking this earth, dead or alive, that's going to intimidate me after that.
Yeah.
But even from this, go ahead, Tabby.
So many of the things that happened to you, Vanessa, and not only, your latest book, but Walking with Ghosts and a few others, a lot of people would look at a lot of the things that have happened to you and said, oh my God, how can she survive this? How did she manage to get through this? And you've answered so succinctly saying, well, yeah, this is kind of what I do. This is part of who I am. You don't run from it. You don't immediately go, No,
absolutely not.
That sort of thing. You just don't do it. And so I think that's what probably makes certain things so much more tangible and real to people is when you hear of people like yourself that go into situations and they don't run from everything. You hear a noise or you hear a laugh or you hear their name called or something. You don't run from the building. You sit there and go, what?
Exactly.
What?
Well, and it's funny that you say that because my name has been called on an EVP twice live from overseas, years apart.
Wow.
One at the Nine Lady Stone Circle, which I actually after I met years before that I had done a meditation and I saw one of my deaths from a previous life, and I now know that it was in the woods surrounding that Nine Lady Stone Circle where it happened. They asked very, very distinctly on the EVP, and this was all done live. They asked, "Where's Vanessa?"
Yeah.
And I've watched this live when this happens, and the guys that were doing the investigation said she's in Oklahoma, but she's watching right now because I was, and it just happened again about 2 weeks ago.
So let me ask you a question then. If, and I don't know whether or not you do remote viewing and actually bilocate to another location, but do they acknowledge you if you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I guess, and also a better way for me to explain why I think some of these situations don't bother me as much as they might bother somebody else is what the listeners need to understand is, again, I am so not tooting my own horn. I'm not Billy Badass. That's not me. But I'm a simple human who went through some serious trauma as a child. I was raped as a teenager. I was homeless for a couple of months. I after I was married, I lost 6 babies. I have 1 living child, and then after I was divorced, I got into an abusive relationship where I was just made to feel like I was absolutely nothing. So when you talk about a life like that, bring your best, spirit world, okay? Because you can't really knock me down, dude. I've already been in the mud. So it isn't that I have that much more courage than anybody else. I'm just that much harder to scare because I've already been face down in the dirt. So there's very little you can do to me that's gonna make me quake in my boots, so to speak.
Yeah, it's hard to scare somebody with photos of hell when you've already lived it.
Thank you. As the best way I can put it. And I mean, and I don't regret a single thing, believe it or not, that I've been through, because I think that I was put through all of those things so that when I do come into contact with some of these spirits that have led a similar life, or they've been through a similar trauma, or or they're struggling, even in death, just struggling to try to figure out, where their place is. Because I've been in those situations, I know where to pull from, and I can help them.
Yeah.
So if for no other reason, then I'm glad I went through all that stuff, because I can at least use it for something good for living and dead.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. The phoenix out of the ashes. And that's exactly the way I look at you, Vanessa. I look at you as a phoenix out of the ashes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Did I ever tell you what I have tattooed on my chest?
No.
Born a goddess, forged a warrior.
Oh my God.
I like that.
No, I didn't know that. That's oh wow.
And
that just gave me chills.
And then I have
wow.
a raven. I have a raven above it.
Oh, well, that's why the black the birds were following you all around then.
I tell you.
Goodness.
Well, I actually got that after. I actually got my raven during the quarantine. I found a place open. I found a place open, and we all wore our masks, and I got tatted up, but good. So, yeah, I got 5 of them now. I need more, but yeah, it's just I think we all have abilities. I do, in one way or another, but I think people forget in order to use those abilities to the best effect, you have to draw on your own traumas, and there's a lot of self-reflection that needs to go into that. Right. There's a lot of honesty in regards to yourself and your pluses and your minuses, and you need to be as real as you possibly can. And I mean, for heaven's sake, y'all, go look on my Facebook. Go look at the picture I posted today. I mean, I've lost 19 pounds in the last less than 2 weeks, but I gained 30 during furlough. I posted a fat pic of myself, no makeup. Okay, I keep it as real as I possibly can. I ain't gorgeous. I'm almost 50, and I'm a little chunky. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. The last thing I care about is proving to anybody else whether or not ghosts exist. I don't care if they believe me. I don't care. You know, that is the last thing on my mind as to whether or not the mass public believes what comes out of my mouth, as long as the spirit that needed my help got it.
Right.
Wow.
All I care
So
about.
the three of us need to run off and be pirates.
Okay.
Yeah. Ahoy, matey! See, I got it.
All
Yeah,
right.
well, as
Well,
long as I'm able to have something like the Jack Sparrow, what do they call it? Dreadlocks.
All I'm saying is I just want to look as sexy as he does with smudged eyeliner, and all I like is,
Oh yeah, exactly.
okay? It ain't even right. It ain't even right. I'm saying. So, oh goodness. Did we have any questions or anything from anybody? Anything? Because I didn't want to.
not anything from the chat room that I got.
Okay.
I don't know whether
Okay.
anybody else got any, but we're down to just about 4 minutes.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously,
Wow.
I'm telling you, our 2-hour show goes by very fast.
Yes, it
It
does.
did.
Yeah, yeah. I've had people say, I don't know if I can do 2 hours, and then when somebody comes on and say, what? It's over already?
Well, I get a little long-winded, so I mean, I was fine with it. But did I get too long-winded? Was I too bad?
No.
No, not at
Oh,
all.
we love guests where you say, "How are you?" and then they talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. See, we're simpatico, but oh goodness, I'm sorry, keto fog. I completely lost my train of thought there.
Well, it's a
Why don't
necessary.
you
And
tell
you're not
everybody
even
how
blonde.
to reach
As you posted, it's a necessary.
It is. But you know what? I will live this way the rest of my life because I have never felt so good.
Great.
I'll tell you, I'll have to send you the link on my website. I have a hub of all these paranormal experiences I've had and friends have had, and also the fact that I too, when I'm doing something, I rule out everything that it could be before I say, that might have been a ghost.
Exactly. It's the way it should be.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that you're going to say it's not a ghost just 'cause. But you have to be a responsible investigator. Imagine for a moment how bad it would be in law enforcement if they approached every case like a paranormal investigator who wanted to be on TV does.
Oh,
Oh, that one
not
burned.
good. Not good.
That one burned. That one sizzled. Yeah.
All right,
So-
we're down to 2 minutes, so I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight.
I've had a blast.
Well, I'm glad. I want you to tell everybody. Maybe everybody want to come.
Okay. I will. And just because I figure you're probably going to ask me this, I'm going to go ahead and preempt it. First off, since I do have my own production company now, I'm publishing my own books. So my old ones have been pulled, and second edition will be coming out next year. But if anyone is interested in reading about Ireland, Ghost Abroad Ireland is on Amazon. And also a coloring book that I did is on Amazon as well. But if anyone has any questions, wants to contact me, the easiest way to get to any of my links, VanessaHogle.com.
All right.
Easiest way.
Okay. Next week, and I want you to stay on till after we're off, and then
Okay.
we'll thank you. So next week we have Kevin McQueen on talking about his book Cruelly Murdered, and he's always a funny guy to talk with, so you'll have to come by and listen to that. And so let's see, our time is up. So this is Henry Foister,
Jeffrey Gould.
Barbara Duncan.
and we
Cat,
will
Tabby Cat Gash.
yes, and we will see you next week at the same time if I can find my stuff here.
Say goodnight, Dick.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. See you next week at the same time. You've been listening to the Paranormal View on the ParaX Radio Network. Join us again next week at the same time for more of the Paranormal View.